Good morning. I realize now it's very dark, so I'm going to change my angle here. Bear with me. Yeah, there we go. I think that's a better angle, don't you? You can actually see my face now. I'm going to give people time to join in and give myself another minute to kind of set up here. There we go. You can see me much better now. I'm using my headset because, there we go. Okay. I didn't put on any lipstick or anything for you guys. I'm going to keep going, give people time to join in, and hopefully people do join in. This is mainly regarding the small group tour coming up in February 2020. I was going to say 2016. February 2018. Hosted by Lawal Travel in partnership with Cuba Explorer. So, all right, let me see if I can. All right, y'all bear with me here. Giving people time to join in. It's now 9:02. I'm still learning this whole live broadcast thing, so y'all bear with me. I'm trying to figure out how to. Sorry, I'm inviting people as we as I'm sitting on here. It's like so weird, like alternate reality going on right now. So anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and start so that, you know, when this is posted later, it might be helpful for people. I hope it's helpful. And part of why I did this is because I know that there are some questions, not just regarding this small tour, but also just Cuba travel in general. So I think that Cuba travel is intimidating to some Americans because of the general license stipulation, and then, you know, you have to be fit in one of the 12 categories in order to travel to Cuba, and that can be intimidating for people because they don't understand it. And then the announcement by President Trump last month probably, you know, intimidated people again, and they're like, oh, I can't go to Cuba, which is not true. First of all, understand that those regulations based on the president's announcement are not in force yet. And so, so you can still travel to Cuba at this point and not be in violation of the law based on the individual people to people. So really the only change that'll happen, again, based on the president's announcement, is that the individual people to people will no longer exist, and you have to do the group people to people. And that actually played a role in how I designed the Cuba trip, because initially I wanted to keep it. I was trying to make sure it was like right at $1,000, or maybe like, 1,100-1,200 land only. But that's difficult to do when you add in tours and whatnot. And, in Cuba, despite what people might think, it's not a third world country. They're behind the U.S. Because of the embargo, so they don't get a lot of the things that we have here because they can't be imported. And so that's part of why they are behind. And of course, it has to do with the government as well. It is a socialist government, and so there are some controls in place for things. So you don't have that kind of, I guess, some of the freedoms that we may take for granted when it comes to innovation and industry and privately owned businesses, capitalism, things like that. So, but it's not a third world country. They actually have a very high literacy rate, actually very educated people. And then one thing that I learned, which was for me as an African American, was awesome, is that they didn't hide their African history or African connection. It's actually part of the education of the students at every grade level. So it begins when they're younger, and it is something that they are proud of, and you can see that in the people there. So I'm excited to go to Cuba. I'll probably be going twice, once before we head out, and then of course during the private tour. So just a few tidbits about the tour itself. And if you are curious about it, please go to Lawal Travel Services if you're not already on here and click the link. But it's basically lawaltravel.ourcuba.com, and click on the link for the Lawal Travel Services private tour. Hey, Jonathan. Oh, speaking of my buddy, the jet setter, he actually, I think, just got back from Cuba. Is that right, Jonathan? Or should I call you Iconic Greatness? Not sure. I'll give you a minute to answer. But yeah, he just got back, or either is still in Cuba. So excited to talk to him later about his experience there. So I'll just start with the basic itinerary for the tour so that you understand what we will be doing. Now, because, as I said, as of right now, just got back. Awesome. I love your pictures, by the way. The president's announcement has not taken effect yet because the regulations themselves have not been changed. As of right now, you can still go to Cuba on the individual people-to-people license and be fully within the law, okay? However, in February, that may change. The government may at that point have changed so that you can only do the group people-to-people. So because of that, I wanted to structure the trip in such a way that people would feel comfortable knowing that they are within the legal bounds and won't have to worry about any repercussions for their visit. So because of that, we're doing more of a group people-to-people. And I really support for the Cuban people. So there will be a giving component, which I'll talk about in a minute. So it is over President's Day weekend. And I did that on purpose, partly because people have that Monday off because it's President's Day, but also because my own personal reasons. Anyway, so it is 4 days, 3 nights. We'll depart, well, we should arrive, I should say, on a Friday. It is a land-only package, and that's because with people coming from different places, it's very hard to do like an air-inclusive for everyone. And because you can get flights to Havana from Atlanta, from Fort Lauderdale, from Miami, with this one, I didn't want to do like for my South Africa trip. We start in JFK, which is pretty easy to do because that's like a hub for African travel. Whereas with Cuba, there's not necessarily one place where you get the best deals coming out, and you can find different deals. So because of that, hi, Leslie. Oh, Leslie. Thank you for joining. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So because of that, I kept this land only. The price for a double occupancy for one person, so it's per person based on double occupancy, is $1,680, so $1,680. That includes 3 nights lodging, private transfers to and from the airport, private classic car tour and a photo opportunity, 3 breakfasts, 2 lunches, a cooking class, a cocktail making class, an old Havana walking tour, a tour of the Afro-Cuban Museum, which I can't think of a name right now. I'm not looking at the itinerary. A bar tour, the Art of Rum visit. And then one of the restaurants where we'll be doing the cooking class and having lunch is, and I'll pronounce this wrong, I'm sure, El Ajiaco. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But so the foodie in me is excited about that because Emeril Lagasse had the show called Eat the World. And he and Aaron, I forget his last name, but he's a chef as well. But they visited this restaurant and had this the soup that they're famous for, and then other food. And they sat there afterwards and smoked cigars. I'm like, dude, that's me. And it's in this fishing town that Hemingway loved, Kohimar, I think it's called. Please don't judge my pronunciation. So I'm actually really excited about that part. And then the hotel that we'll be staying in is a 4-star hotel. So we won't be doing like a guest house or an Airbnb. We'll actually be in a hotel. And it is the Capri. And it's right in the area you want to be in. And it has a rooftop pool, which I'm excited about. And it has great, you can check it on TripAdvisor, which is why the price is a little more because, you know, there were 2 other hotel options, but the reviews were very sketchy. Like it was hit or miss. And anyone who's traveled with me knows that when I do something, I think about the experience that people will have. And so with Hotel Capri, I'm very confident in the experience that people will have there. And so I can wholeheartedly stand behind it. Also understand that February is peak time. So it's going to be a little bit higher to travel in February than other times of the year. Couple of things to note. So you will need a passport. You do need a passport. In addition to a passport, you will need a Cuban tourist card. You don't need a visa because unless you plan on going there for an extended period of time, you just need a tourist card. And your tourist card is good for 30 days. Thank you, Jonathan. Good to know. He's saying it was a nice hotel, so good to know. And it is in the area you want to be in, walkable to pretty much, I think and I'm going to say this wrong too, Malcon, but it's walkable to that as well. But regarding the tourist card, typically when you purchase your air, the airline offers you the opportunity to purchase your tourist card. And if you're flying Southwest, JetBlue, or Delta, it's $50. And that is the cost of the card, just $50. If you're flying American, American's $85, it's the $50 plus their processing fee. And then United is $75, it's $50 plus the $25 processing fee. And Frontier, honey, is $110. I don't know what they're smoking, but I won't be flying Frontier. So know that you will need, that is something that you will need to purchase. If I assist you with your air, then I'll make sure that happens. But you will need your Cuban tourist card. You will need to make sure you keep your tourist card with you and have it when you're ready to go home, because they will not let you leave without that card, and you will end up paying $25 for a replacement card, and it may take you a day, so then you'll be delayed, and then you won't be happy. So make sure you hold on to your tourist card, okay? Additionally, you will need to make sure that you have a return airline ticket when you enter, because they want to make sure that you're leaving, okay? So make sure you have those things. With regard to money, everybody, whenever they travel, especially first-timers, whenever they travel outside the U.S., they're like, oh, do I need to exchange my money, and blah, 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 blah. And with Cuba, there's a lot of, there is I won't say a penalty, but it costs more to exchange U.S. dollars. Oh, you lost yours? Did you? So what happened, Jonathan? Did it delay you at all? You're talking about your tourist card, I'm assuming? I'll give you a minute to answer. what was I saying? Oh, so exchanging money. So it does cost more to convert US dollars to CUC. Now there's two Cuban currencies. One is for locals and one is for tourists. The CUC is for tourists. CUP is for locals. Don't try and get CUP because it won't get you very far. Get the CUCs. And you actually, so some people are like, oh, change it to euros and then change it to Cuban dollars. You still end up kind of losing. So it's kind of, you do what you have to do. But what I do suggest, based on what I know, the Hotel Capri, they will actually exchange your money there. So don't exchange a huge amount on your way into the country. If you just want to have some money available to tip people, then go ahead and do that. Like maybe I'd say like 50 US maybe. Go ahead and have that ready when you enter the country. But you can exchange it at the hotel for less than you would at the airport. So please remember that. All right, Jonathan is saying he had to buy a new tourist card in Cuba immigration. So you don't want to be like Jonathan, all right? So like when we went to Barbados, there was a little card we had to keep. So you make sure, I just keep mine with my passport. And I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I typically lock my passport into my hotel safe. And I keep a copy on me on my phone so that if I need my passport as I'm out and about or something happens, then I have a copy of that. And it's also on my Google Drive so that I can access it if let's say I lost my phone. Well, I can access it from anywhere. Cool. Good to know. So you got some money from Capri. All right. Awesome. So like I said, I would exchange a very small amount as you enter the country. And you can even do it like, I know Nashville Airport, there's a currency exchange. And so before I hop on the plane, I'll go ahead and get my currency. And then honestly, and you can't do this in Cuba, and now, I'll get there. But usually in other countries, I'll just go to an ATM because the exchange rate getting it from a regular bank ATM, not Travelex, is actually, you pay fewer fees than you would at the currency exchange places. But in Cuba, be prepared to have cash because they are not set up for tourism the way that some other countries are. Okay, so you won't be able to go to an ATM, and you won't be able to swipe a card at places. You will need cash. Okay, so think about your budget, and that's part of why this tour I think is awesome, because you don't really have to have a whole lot of cash. Your tours are included, your private drivers are included, your 2 lunches, 2 dinners, 3 breakfasts are included. So you really only need spending money for like souvenirs or extra things that you want to do, because we will have a free night. Woo-hoo. I'm a free independent traveler, so I love my freedom. We will have a free night, so you'll want to have some funds available to do that. So think about your budget, have the cash on hand, exchange it at the hotel, and you come out better. If you feel better exchanging it before you leave the country, leave the United States, then you might want to convert it to euros or pounds, as Jonathan is suggesting. But you do the math on that and make your best decision. So that's regarding the money. And with regards to budget, you have to just decide, like, I will say, don't go there thinking it's like Mexico. Honey, I love Mexico because the peso versus the dollar is like, woohoo! And so you get things very cheaply. But remember, it's not a third world country. I mean, you might come up on some deals, but don't go there expecting you're going to get stuff for dirt cheap. And also understand that you really are supporting the people. So think about that as well. Jonathan saying get at least 100 at the exchange. Expect a long line at currency exchange. Yeah. So if you want to do it beforehand, like I said, I usually when I'm leaving out of the Nashville airport, I go ahead and get my money, or I'll get it like a couple of days before I travel, because I'm the type of traveler, I get there like 20 minutes before. Don't do like me, because I'm not a get there 2 hours kind of girl. I'm not. And we actually, Jonathan, we have with this tour private transfer, so you won't need a taxi from the airport, but you should tip your driver. You will tip your driver. So keep that in mind. So think about your budget and what you want to do. And Jonathan is saying lots of cheap drinks and food. Good. That's what I want to spend my money on. That's how I like to roll. I don't buy a whole lot of like the t-shirts with the name of the place and all that. I travel with my taste buds. And I'd like to explore that way, as well as buying like, I love buying things that will be able, I'll tell a story later. Like I love getting scarves and, like handmade things. Like I bought my mom in Jamaica a mug that was made by a local artist. And actually like on the bottom, it's signed by the artist. It's not like this made in China thing with Jamaica on it. And in Mexico, I bought this handmade shawl. I love it. It's so beautiful. So that's what I like to spend my money on. So drinks, food, and stuff like that. Are there any questions out there for me regarding travel to Cuba? Are there some reservations you have? You have questions about this tour in particular? Go ahead and post your questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And like I said, we have Jonathan on here who just like really, I think last night just got back from Cuba. And I wish that this was like an interactive where you could tell us about your trip. I noticed that you met some locals there. I would love to know like what your experience was with the locals. While I'm giving him a chance to answer, I do want to let you guys know that there are a few organizations that I'm looking at donating for. So part of what's included in the cost that you guys are for this tour is a portion will be donated, or I should say a portion will be used to purchase items to donate to a local organization there. There are 5 of them that the agency gave me information on. Give me just a second, I'll pull it up for you. And I'm waiting until I have the people booked, because I want those people traveling to feel connected to it. So I don't want to just choose the organization, but I really want you guys to be connected to it. So there's a house for boys and girls. There's a Baptist church that has several ministries. There's a convent of Our Lady Belén, which is a humanitarian healthcare and community service project in Old Havana. There's actually 2 synagogues, and there's a conservative Hebrew center in Vedado. So there are several organizations. And as I said, once you guys are registered for the tour, then I would like to decide what organization we contribute to, because again, I want you to feel a part of it. And I'm actually working on, once we decide, I want to go visit that organization again. When I put this together, I really wanted to do it as a support for the Cuban people trip. So I guess it's a combination of the people to people and support for the people. And Jonathan is saying that, he got back this morning at 6 a.m. So he's fresh off the plane, saying great, warm people. And that is what I've heard, is that, people there are warm. And I'm looking forward to it, actually. I will say, just kind of level set expectations. It's not an opulent place. You're not going to Abu Dhabi or Dubai. And it's not, as I said before, because of the embargo, there are some things there that are not as advanced as they are here. So expect that it won't be all shiny and brand new. The sun is like really beaming down on me right now. Expect that it won't be all shiny and brand new. But go into it just with an expectation of having an experience with people and learning something about, the culture and, walking away. I always like to say when I travel that I take a piece of that place with me and I leave a part of myself there as well. And so that's always my goal when I travel. All right. Any questions? Go ahead and post them now. Jonathan, what was your favorite experience there in Cuba? I'm giving him time to answer. We've been running for about 25 minutes now. I'll end it real soon here. And if you end up catching this broadcast, or this video, I should say, after I'm done being live, still post questions, because I'll monitor it and I'll answer questions as they come up. But I want you to feel comfortable with so your favorite part was the food. Ooh, lobster cubana. Ooh, I did hear about the lobster, so I'm excited to try that. So what I also read, and you tell me if this is true, is that the tourists get lobster, but like the locals aren't allowed to eat the lobster. Is that true? Yeah, I'm looking forward to touring Old Havana myself. Excuse me as I sip my tea, y'all. And this sun, do you see how the sun is beaming down? I mean, I'm doing this for y'all. I'm sitting out here in the hot sun for you guys. That's how dedicated I am, okay? Adana, hey there. Glad you could join us. We just finished talking about the private tour setup and just some general info about Cuba. I will post this video, so feel free to join in later, or to, I guess, watch it later. But if you have any questions right now, go ahead and post them and I'll answer your questions. Ooh, sweet and spicy. Sounds like me. Oh, boy. My buddy Adana. So I'll tell you how Adana and I met. And I love this story. I tell people the story all the time. So we met in Puerto Rico. Now, we didn't know each other. We were all there for a Divas run, a half marathon. This is when I was still able to run, half marathon. And I actually, so on the plane, I met this girl named Adrian. And then some kind of way, I think Adrian met Adana, don't know. But we all ended up meeting, and like we rented a van together and drove to the rainforest, and we met like at this cafe in Puerto Rico. It was in 2012, and so she and I have been buddies since 2012, and we met as strangers. So I love that story. I've met people during my travels, a solo traveler, that I was with the girl who was in my running group. We didn't know each other, so, you know. But anyway, I just love that story because it's an example of how you actually can meet wonderful people who become friends when you're traveling, you know. So let me look at the questions here. Oh, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm a researcher. I love researching. And so, and again, I go to places wanting to have an experience and wanting to understand. So while I'm in that place, I typically just like to wander and kind of go with the flow and make it up as I go along. But before I go, I do a lot of research. Like going to Merida, Mexico, I do research. So yeah, so one of the interesting things to me about Cuba is the whole socialism aspect. And the difference, and this is the political science brain in me, I guess, the difference with what they allow for tourists and what they allow for their people. I don't know, it's very interesting. So I'll let you guys do your own research on that. So I have two questions here. Oh yeah, we did have a ball. We had a ball in Puerto Rico, and we were standing outside a Cafe Cotero, which I love in Puerto Rico. Shout out to them. And we all had our maps out, and this guy in a wheelchair rolls over to us and says, "You don't need a map. You put San Juan. You walk, you shop, you don't need a map." And we were like, okay, and folded up our maps, and we had just the wandering through Old San Juan. And like I said, we rented a van and drove out to El Yunque, the rainforest. And I was driving, and I was like, So we just followed the tour bus. And when the tour bus got out, we got out. So we got a tour without paying for it. Don't judge me, y'all. It was awesome. So Jonathan's asking about the itinerary. But also check out the site, the link that I have posted for the tour. So we arrive on Friday, February 16th. And and you will have a private transfer to the hotel in the heart of Havana's entertainment district. Again, our hotel is Hotel Capri. You'll have a private check-in with the assistance from your guide. You'll enjoy a panoramic drive in old American cars along the Havana seafront. You'll have the technical explanation of the car by its driver, and a photo opportunity. You'll then see the old American cars will then drop off a Rio Mar private restaurant. That one was featured on in show as well. And then that evening, it'll be Noche de Fiesta Cubana, party and a dancing class with live music at Club Chever. I'm saying that French, but I know it's not French. Transportation and cover are included, and dinner is covered that night. So day one, your dinner is covered. All right. If you get there early, you'll have a chance to kind of walk around on your own, but of course, lunch will be on your own if you get there early. On day two, we'll have breakfast at the hotel, and then it's followed by a walking tour of Old Havana. And it'll go to several sites, including the Cathedral Square and San Francisco Square and Plaza Vieja, which is the old civic square of colonial times. Then we'll have lunch at El Zaguán restaurant, and of course lunch is included. And then we'll do the Art of Rum excursion, which will include a visit to the Rum Museum, a tasting of Havana Club rum, and a cocktail making lesson, which I am looking forward to. And then you will tour the most famous bars of Old Town, the Floridita and the Bodega del Medio. I'm going to work on my Spanish, you guys, including the tasting of cocktail at the Ambos Mudos or the Beltran de Santa Cruz hotels. I will work on my Spanish. And that night, you're free to explore the city, which to me is cool because you get this whole tour of our bar, and then whichever one you like, you can go hang out in that night. So pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Day three, the focus there in Cojimar, which is the little town I told you about that day. And then we'll visit the Museum of Regla, featuring Afro-Cuban artifacts. And you'll meet with the Santeria, I think I'm pronouncing that right, priest. In this religion, I'm Christian, so don't get it twisted, but I find it interesting, and so I am looking forward to that. We'll also visit the Church of Regla, which is a temple that dates from 1811. So it's devoted to the Black Virgin Saint. I'm excited about that, right? We'll then have a cooking class and lunch prepared at the private restaurant El Iaco. I'm saying that wrong, but that's the restaurant I told you that was featured on Eat the World by Emeril Lagasse. After that, we'll visit the Cuba Community Project for a presentation on Santeria and Afro-Cuban religion and members of Casa Templo. We'll then visit Hamo Alley with the artwork of famed Afro-Cuban artist Salvador Gonzalez. And we'll get a chance to see some performances. Sorry, I get excited. And we'll then return to the hotel. We have a little bit of free time, and we'll have a farewell dinner at San Cristobal Private Restaurant. And that evening, we'll enjoy a Buena Vista Social Club at Cafe Taberna. On day 4, you'll have breakfast in the hotel, and you'll check out of the hotel. And based on your time of your flight, that's when you'll leave. But we'll have private transfer to the airport from the hotel. So that is the itinerary. Again, you can go to the link, which will be at lawaltravel.ourcuba.com for more information. Let's see. The